Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned into another episode of the Paul Leslie Hour. And now your host, Paul Leslie.
Hey, it's me. I want to invite you to meet a master musician. Flaco Jiménez is an icon of conjunto music, an accordionist and a singer. He's been performing across 7 decades. He started his performances as just a child. His music has been recognized throughout Latin America, the United States, and the world. A veteran recording artist, Flaco Jiménez has won multiple Grammys and is a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award winner. A founding member of the Sir Douglas Quintet, some of the greatest musicians and singers have worked with Flaco, just to name a few: Dr. John, Cooder, Peter Rowan, Bob Dylan, Buck Owens and Dwight Yoakam, the Rolling Stones, and I could keep on going. So it is a great honor to introduce you to this legendary performer, entertainer, recording artist. Ladies and gentlemen, Flaco Jiménez, thank you so much for joining us.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Thanks a lot. Thanks for inviting me to your show. And I just want to say hello to everybody that's tuning in.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's an honor to speak to you. How are you today?
Oh, fine. Everything's fine. Considering, there's things that have been happening all over the world, but we're just trying to, stay home or just trying to stay safe, As you know, it's been quite a drag, but we're still here, and I wish the best for everybody.
Amen. So I think most stories are best from the beginning. What are your most vivid memories from your childhood?
I was about 7 years old when I started picking up the accordion. And my dad, which was is considered the pioneer of conjunto music, kind of music, as now we call it Tex-Mex. His name is Santiago Jimenez Sr. So he started recording in 1936 in Decca Records, and he kept on recording till he passed away, not that long ago. So as a young boy, I used to just I was always around him, because I really liked how he played at home, and then it was his job. He had a day job too, so whenever he went to work, and during the week, I managed to grab that accordion and started practicing the accordion. He didn't, and even though he didn't know I played the accordion, because, well, it was a surprise for him when he heard me for the first time. When he was at work, he came, and this certain day he came home early from his day work, and he told me the story that when he was walking to the house, he started to our house. He started. He was listening to somebody playing the accordion, but he didn't know I played the accordion. It was I was self-taught, but it was a big surprise for him, because, for respect or whatever, I didn't want to, mess around with the accordion. His accordion, but the certain day that he came early, he heard somebody playing, and so he opened the door to come in, to the home, to the house, and he left it just semi open, and he. I think he stood there for a few minutes or whatever but I didn't see him. He was hiding. Somehow he was hiding. He was just listening on what. It was a big surprise for him. He didn't know I could play his polkas or whatever he played, because I learned by watching him play at home when he was at home. So then all of a sudden, he opened the door and saw me playing, and I got not scared, but I put the accordion on the side because I was not scared, but I was. It was just respect, because of his accordion. He didn't know. So when he entered the door, he entered. He came straight to me, and then he was straight to me, and he was in tears. He was he was crying, and he came straight to me and hugged me. Man, he hugged me and started crying because he didn't know I could play. And from there on, he said, "Mijo, you can play my accordion whenever you want to." And from there on, I started, learning some more and more, and so I had that goal to say, okay, go, you can play my accordion. So from there on, I started, learning more. He's kind of playing, because I copied what he knew. And it was quite I thought I was going to get it, he was going to say something but no, it was the other way around. He seemed very, very surprised, and his tears were just coming down his face because of proud. It was when I started. I was 7 years old, about 6 or 7 years old.
Incredible story. So, not just limited to music necessarily, what would you say you learned from your father?
Well, whatever tunes that he played, just by watching him play, I always was there, to observe his technique of playing, and it was just simple polkas with that European sound, polka sound, waltzes from Germany, from Europe, many parts of Europe. The accordion, of course, it's a well-known instrument, and so from there on, I started progressing more of playing, learning, and so it was quite an experience for me, to have I didn't know I could learn, but it just came automatically by ear. I don't read, I don't write music, just by heart, by ear.
As I was saying at the beginning, and as you were saying, this type of music, you used the word conjunto, and I'm hoping you can tell the listeners out there who may not be as aware of conjunto music, what is the origin? Where does the conjunto sound come from?
Okay, the word conjunto, it actually it's just like a band. A band, more than 4 people playing or whatever. Conjunto is just a conjunction of accordion and guitar, or bajo sexto, which we use a lot. Is a 12-string instrument, like a 12-string guitar. And
Right.
so conjunto actually it's just like let's say Flaco Jiménez y su conjunto and his band. So actually, conjunto is not in the books. I don't think so. Conjunto and then a lot of accordion players picked up the that sound of the accordion, which is a button accordion. It's not a piano accordion. It's a button diatonic accordion. And my dad used to play the one row, and at that time the two row came along, and the brand, of course, it's been a Horner product, you know. So in the 50s, then they started making the three row, which three row had more keys, more range, you know, for chromatics or you could get more music out of three row instead of just a two row. One row is very limited. The two row is limited, but three row you can do chromatic scales. You can. It depends on on what you want to do. It's like a typewriter. In other words, once you know where the keys are, they're there.
So the kind of music that you play, it's Tex-Mex music, but it comes from a lot of places. Is that correct?
Yes, especially I would say the European sound, because I say European sound because there was the sound of the accordion comes from Germany. It comes from Switzerland. It comes from Czechoslovakia. So there's many parts of the world that they up to now they play polkas, waltzes, and so it's a we call it the beer drinking music.
So in addition to the music of the area, tell us about some of the singers, some of the bands that you liked growing up, regardless of what genre. Could be from anything, rock, country. What kind of stuff did you enjoy growing up?
Well, when I was around getting to my teens, about around 13, I used to tune in to. There were several stations that played straight country, like the Hank Williams and those old type of playing country, and there was one station here in San Antonio that played country music, KONO, and there was another station in New Braunfels. It's about 30 miles from here, and it's like a German people that settled on that part of San Antonio, on the outskirts of San Antonio. And my grandfather, Patricio Jimenez, which was an accordion, he used to go to those polka dances around that area on New Braunfels, Texas. So he managed to copy, learn how they played on those dances, polka dances. So he managed to learn, and then he passed it on to my dad. But my grandfather never recorded. There was no facilities of recording. He never recorded. But my dad, yes, 1936 was his first 78. Yeah.
Fascinating stuff. You don't think about German music being in Tex-Mex music, but that's so interesting.
Yes, and that when I was in around my young age, I used to go to the movies or And at that time, I saw, those movies of Tex Reader, Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, and all those movies, and I noticed that the country bands that backed up Gene Autry, which was, I think it was the Sons of the Pioneers, they had an accordion in the background in the band.
Interesting.
So, and it fitted real nice. So I decided, I said no, the country music fits real. The accordion fits real good on country music. But then came rock and roll. Then came other types of music. So the accordion can fit in different styles of music.
Can you recall the first performance that you did where it was for a crowd of people?
Yes, I think. My dad used to play in this weekends in this certain place, and it was for the public. I mean, not just old people, just it was for everybody. So the when I started playing kind of okay, I could play his polkas or whatever he played, and there was one occasion that he managed to take me to one of his dances, or where he played, and it was there was about I think it was about 200 capacity of people, teenagers and whatnot, and the bass player, which was the upright bass, decided to ask my dad if I could play a few tunes, for my dad, to take a breather. In other words.
Ah.
And so I played two. I think it was two songs, two polkas, and people didn't know. It was packed, man. I mean, it was a lot of people. Well, 200 people anyway. But then people didn't know that I played. So they, when I started playing, I was so, I was really young. I was about 8 years old, and I had to stand on a beer box, so I could reach the microphone. And so I played, and then the people were they were surprised because they didn't know that my dad had a son that played the accordion. So they made a ring around. They were surprised, and my the bass player, my dad's upright bass player, decided to go through the tables with a cup of big cup of beer, or empty, of course, and he went through walking through the audience, and they gave me tips, man. I mean, that cup was up to the brim, man. They feel quarters, nickels, dimes, pennies, or whatever, And it was a Saturday. I can recall. And then Sunday morning, I saw that cup of pennies, nickels, And my dad said, it's yours, mijo. It's your money. He didn't take a penny out of that cup. So what I did, because I had brothers and sisters, we were seven in our family, and so and then came Sunday, and we went. I went straight to the store and bought some candies, kites, anything, and I shared it with my brothers and sisters.
Hmm.
So that was my first pay. A cup full of quarters and nickels and dimes, pennies.
And you're with the first money that you made, you shared that with all your brothers and sisters. How nice.
Oh yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shared it with my. Oh man, we ate. We at that time, the candies, and they were real cheap, So that was my first pay without announcing nothing. It just came out of the blue. But it was the bass player that did that idea.
How important is family to you?
Family?
Yeah.
Oh well, my family is really important for me. I've been fortunate to have brothers and sisters. We were seven of four boys and three girls, and and we were my dad had two jobs. He played Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at this certain place. He played for 8 years straight on that certain place. So he was at that time there was no competition, not competition. The conjuntos were really scarce, because at that time there was the conjunto wasn't that popular, or not popular. I would say the conjunto was considered like a cantina music. That's what I wanted to say. It didn't have they said it was, oh well, that's cantina music, like other musics. They have a certain names, like hillbilly or whatnot. But now the accordion has got a lot of respect, and so I'm glad I went through those years on my 50s, my 60s, and up to now. And I thank God I'm still kicking. I'm still alive, enjoying life. And music has been my life all the way through. But just 2 years that I didn't play because I was drafted. I was drafted, so I'm a veteran. I'm a Korean veteran. So I lost 2 years of my career, but then I came back and started recording and doing what I like up to now.
I'm hoping you can tell us about when you decided to go to New York City. What was it that was pulling you there?
This guy friend of mine, Doug Son, as you know, I think he's a well known Doug, and he's a San Antonio guy, and at that time he had his own band and Sir Douglas Quintet. By that time, I was not into rock and roll or this and the other, like different kinds of music. So what I did, I decided that to cross over and I knew I could blend in with country or rock or not heavy stuff, but just like the rock and roll 50 the 50s, and it was around the mid 70s, I think it was. I'm not sure. So many things, but I think it was the mid 70s when I received a message from Doug Sound, and he called me from New York. They were recording a Sir Douglas band with with Augie Myers and Bob Dylan, Fathead Newman, and other cats that I can't recall offhand. But I got to, so there I go to New York, flew in, and then I took me to a studio. They were cutting this record, the Sir Douglas band. So I think I cut about or I think 2 or 3 cuts from that from that project. And I would say that the Doug was the one that introduced me to a major label, Atlantic, and I had a lot of recordings here in San Antonio with different record companies. I got to record on 78s and then the 45s and whatnot. But those companies didn't have no exposure. They didn't expose the conjunto sound. It was just independent labels here in San Antonio. So there was no exposure on the outside world, which I was trying to get to a major label, and which Doug invited me to this session, which was Atlantic Records. So from there on, I started having some offers from different guys on major labels.
So this session that you're talking about, you were mentioning that you were on this session with Augie Myers?
Yes, Augie Myers, Dylan.
Yeah, Bob Dylan.
And others. I can't recall the whole gang. I can't recall the whole guys. It happened so quick.
Augie was just on this show, episode number 404, and we had a lot of people who wrote in and they said how funny he was. And I'm hoping you can tell us about Augie Myers. What is he like to be around?
Augie, he's quite a guy. He's real friendly, and he's got a sense of humor, man. We're all always laughing, and he comes out with with humorous things or whatever, and it makes it easier for the band, for a guy that's always coming up with with humorous things, So Augie's a real nice guy. We got along real good ever since. And then afterwards, the Texas Tornadoes. But before that, after Doug, then Dwight Cooder came along. So he came to San Antonio and checked me out, and he knew about Flaco Jiménez, but as far as Dwight Cooder is concerned, he chose me to record one of his projects, which was Chicken Skin music. So I did several cuts, and I toured with him for I don't know how many, a few years. I can't recall how many years, but it was an experience for for me to record with Rai, and he actually introduced me to the outside world, which I mean to he. I toured overseas. My first time overseas with Rai, and so Rai introduced me to a giant step, I would say, and then came along, and then Peter Rowan came along. So I recorded with so many guys. Sometimes I get confused. What year was that? What year was that? Or it's hard to keep up with the time or remembering what year or whatnot.
You've mentioned some really, really talented musicians here. Ry Cooder, Bob Dylan. We were talking about Augie. Might be a difficult question, but who would you say the most talented person you've worked with has been?
Oh man, I think it's difficult to say because I had fun recording with these guys that I don't have any preference for just one guy. I really thank the guys that helped me out. So there was another experience that I had with Carlos Santana and Willie Nelson. We recorded Havana Moon in San Francisco. It was a long time ago, and there was another experience besides Buck Owens and Dwight and Hank Thompson. I recorded with Hank Thompson, and oh man, I didn't write up a list of who I've recorded with, but there's quite a few.
When you worked with Bob Dylan, were you aware of his work? Did you know his work well? Did you know who he was?
Oh yes. Yes. I knew her. I did. I was not into rock and roll at that time when I heard about Bob Dylan. But then I was fortunate enough, to get to record with Bob. He's a great guy. And I did some with Los Lobos, and it's hard to keep up with with people that I recorded with. I done tour with Charlie Muscle White and so many men that I can recall offhand.
What is Bob Dylan like to perform with?
Oh well, he's an easy-going guy. He's not like a demander or he's easygoing like Ry and the other cats. Really, really, really easygoing, and I think respect. It's got to do a lot on having a good relationship with the guys, and so and having fun, recording, having a laugh or two, recording or performing. I did a CD, and it sounds like a conjunto or Tex-Mex with Freddie Fender. It's called Dos Amigos, two friends, Dos Amigos, and it's all in Spanish. And Freddie was really, really nice guy too, man. Real humorous, and along the way, I've been fortunate to have a good friendship with the whole bunch of guys.
Would you say the fact that you have been exposed and played in so many different types of music has helped you become a better musician?
Well, I just play whatever comes. I just played by ear. I improvise a lot because you never know what you're going to do when you're performing. So I never I never plan on whoever is singing or recording or whatever. So I don't phrase the same thing twice. Sometimes I do some licks on the accordion, and then somebody comes up and says, "Hey man, do this again. What did you do? What did I do? I don't know. I can't recall what I. Man, you did something real cool, you know, but I can't do it again because it was just spontaneous things that I do, you know, and it happens to a lot of musicians, you know, improvisations."
You know, I was telling you the first time we ever chatted on the phone, I was listening to this public radio show, and they were playing the music of Flaco Jiménez, and I thought, what is this? This is the most lively music I've ever heard. I love this. I've never heard anything like it. And I really enjoyed it. And I had this dream that I would one day talk to Flaco himself. And then it was like,
Thank you.
my pleasure, an honor. And it was maybe like a year after I heard your music. I remember listening to this country music station, and Buenos Noches from Lonely Room, the She Wore Red Dresses song was playing.
Oh, She Wore Red Dresses. Oh, yeah, with Dwight. Yes. That was, I think it was on one of my CDs, Partners, I think it was, or Sleepy Town, I can't recall, which was on one of them. I sang with Buck Owens, "Let Me Do," that Beatles song. We decided to do that one just for, and you know what? Let's try this one. Okay, let's go for it and see how it sounds. So we managed to record that one, and good producers, man. I mean, you know, once you have a good producer and not bossy, and he goes along with the flow, you know, and have a good time, and then you record real at ease, no pressure at all, and then the ideas come automatically. Mm-hmm.
What is Dwight Yoakam like when you're around him and you're not recording? It's just two guys sitting around. How would you describe Dwight?
Oh, I think he's a nice guy. I hear a lot of good things about Dwight. And, you know, everybody's got different characters or different ways of being, you know. But he's cool. He's all right. When we recorded Carmelita, and he's a perfectionist, man, like Rye, and of course there's several other musicians, and we recorded Carmelita, and it was the first take, and it came out real nice. But he said, "Let me try it again." So he put he redid the song Carmelita. I know he wanted to add something to it, but only he knows. He is the feel, the soul of he had at that moment. So I would imagine something came to his mind to say, "I'm gonna add a little things that I forgot to feel or something," which he came out real good. When She Wore Red Dresses is a classic.
Oh, it's great. It's wonderful. Did you meet Buck Owens through Dwight Yoakam?
Let's see. Let me recall. Oh, yes. It was through him. I met him in the studio when we were recording "Love Me." She Wore the Red Dresses, I think he was in the studio when I can't recall. I don't want to lie to you, man, but he introduced me to to Buck Buck Owens. Yes, and when we did the Streets of Bakersfield, of what I hear, Buck didn't know. He was like is it gonna work? Like putting the accordion in this song. And Dwight said, "Oh man, let's just do it." So so he was like, "Well, let's see how it's gonna sound." So then it became a number one hit on the charts, and then we did a live Austin City Limits, and we did it was Dwight's show. So then Buck showed up, and it was when we recorded Streets of Bakersfield, and then I can recall when Buck said to Dwight, "You were right about the accordion in there."
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Dwight said, "I told you, man. I told you it was going to work." So many experiences, man, that along the way,
Is there a greater purpose? Is there a bigger reason that you make music other than just the enjoyment of playing? Why do you do it?
Oh well, it's been my life. It's all since the first note I heard when I was a baby, man. When I can recall, the music it just snapped. The music heart speaks for itself, and so the music has been my life all the way through since I was a baby, since I can remember. And there's a story that I told my dad. We used to play when we were real young. I used to play with my neighbors, my buddies, young kids. We used to play like cowboys and Indians, and we were and we lived in the outskirts of town, and so I was supposed to be the Indian. So I had a bow and arrow, and you know what I did? When that bow, the string, that's a bow, and then the string goes along with it, So when I pressed the string, it went to another key or another pitch, So that's the instinct, or what do you call it, that I had that music in my blood.
What would you say is the best thing about being Flaco Jiménez?
Well, I'm just Flaco Jiménez. I'm just one of the guys. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I enjoy life. I've been through operations, and everybody's got a different story. But I went through herniated discs, and so plus I'm not that young anymore. But my health has been quite under the weather. But I'm still here, just enjoying life. Not a rich guy. Not a rich guy. I have 7 kids of my own, so in some ways I'm a millionaire. In some ways, my fortune is my family.
At the end of all of the interviews that I do, I always let the guest just address the audience. Just say whatever you want to anyone who is tuned in, anyone listening. I know we'll have people listening from all over the world, from the United States, down in Mexico. What would you say to anyone who's hearing this?
Well, I wish everybody the best here in the States or here in the world. I just wish them the best of the best. So and I hope everything turns okay for everybody that's tuning in, and don't give up hope. There's always hope, and your dreams will come true.
Well, Flaco Jiménez, I can't tell you what this interview means to me. It's a great honor to talk to you.
Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to say hello, and I congratulate your program, and keep it up, and we'll see you along the way. Maybe we'll meet one of these days.
I hope so.
In person.
I hope so. I plan on it. All right, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. I wish you a great, great evening.
Okay, well, thank you. Like I sometimes I say, people say, what's a man's best friend, and everybody says the dog. And it's one of them, but the main one is time. Time is your best friend.
Well spoken.
Thanks.
All right, sir. Well, thank you a million, and have a good one.
Oh, my pleasure, and God bless everybody that's tuning in, and we'll see you along the line.
God bless you, Flaco.
Okay, sir. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Paul Leslie Hour. Hosted, written, and produced by Paul Leslie. Intro theme song, Alexander's Ragtime Band, written by Irving Berlin, performed by Dan Barrett. Outro scatting G Things, improvised, performed, and produced by John Goodwin. Until next time.
Goodbye.